Travis Wayne Goodsall. I say Jimmy Carter died 100. And so that brought to mind the Latter-day Prophecies. So, before I start this, I noticed that there's a wannabe thumbs downer trying to be consistent, putting a thumbs down on every single video. You're way behind. I've got over 8.2K. That other person has been around for years. I have seen many of you wannabes thinking you're gonna be one too, and you can't endure me. You won't last. And besides, the countdown is on for your doom because you chose to be wicked. Church is gonna murder you for your gratitude. Devil never supports his own. And so, I might as well just come right out and tell you guys, as I've been, I'm your Christ, Mormons. Not Jesus. Me. And you don't understand, because you're not thinking in the terms of the learning of the Jews. And so you don't understand what you're doing to me as your Christ. You reject me. And so you reject the founding Christ of the Jews, Joseph Smith, in like manner. See, you'll stand up and you'll defend Joseph to murder people to show that Joseph Smith was the true prophet, but you have no clue what it means to call him the prophet in the learning of the Jews. This is where you all go astray. And so when you understand then that everything is Jewish and not Christian, then everything is not literal history, but prophecy and revelation. So every single Jewish scripture where the protagonist, who is a Christ representation, is being murdered or attacked by the people, that's you, Mormons. You're the people. You don't get it and you don't care. You are that evil. That's called past feeling. Ripe for destruction. And you don't care. You're wanting to cause it. To prove that Jesus Christ won't show. And so the Book of Mormon is the learning of the Jews. It says so. Mormons don't believe it. They're keystone scripture and Mormons don't believe it. And therefore it's the religion of the Jews. Therefore it's the rituals of the Jews. It was by authors who were Jewish. And it's Jewish prophecy and revelation. So Mormons say Christian, Jesus. And you're all wrong. You're not intelligent. You have no clue what you just pulled, which is called a fallacy argument. Falsehood. You are liars and deceivers and deniers of truth. So, Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5 was the 23rd of September, 2017. It's already established as fact. The author, Jewish, who gave you this revelation, time, day and hour, but no man knows the day or the hour. Well, yeah, take it up with the Jewish author who just gave it to you. You've got a woman in space with the sun. You know, we just sent a satellite to be destroyed inside of the sun. I'm sure the woman can endure it. They have to endure labor. Why not the sun? And so, no, this is Virgo, the constellation. This is a time using science of astronomy. This is how the Jews rendered their time. And This is how the Jews rendered the time for their prophecies. Predictions of the future, not a title. They were legitimate seers, prophets, revelators, and translators. They were not con artists saying, we have the titles, obey us and pay us, and then we're going to murder you with the money you gave us. The Judas prize. Then the moon under her feet, crown of 12 stars. Leo is on her head. Leo is only designated with 9 stars. And so 3 visible planets of the 5 are in Leo. And so she's pregnant. Jupiter retrogrades for a pregnancy period in every single constellation as it goes around the zodiac. It's between the horns of Taurus right now, waiting for the transfer from the great and abominable church to me. Yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so anciently, as verse 5 is the actual birth, which corresponds with Isaiah chapter 6 verse 1 and Isaiah 7:14. That's exactly what John is quoting from, just giving a fuller explanation. See, Isaiah says sign in Hebrew, which is Paleo-Hebrew. The first and last letter is the shape of an A and an X, respectively. The A in Paleo-Hebrew is on its side rather than up and down like the Greeks turned it. And so, sure enough, the letters of the Paleo-Hebrew script were likewise prophecies and revelations of the future, of the coming of their own Christ. Me. He who is from the sun god, or the crossroads of the sun god, at noonday. Sun god at noonday should sound familiar to all Mormons. You know, it's the Christ you reject for Jesus. Homuzion, not real, from the first creed of Christianity that Joseph Smith says is all wrong, abominable, and corrupt. You got conned, Mormon, and instead of taking it out on the leaders of the church, you get angry at me instead. This is what denialism and having faith bubbles does to you. You become the enemy. And so it's right there in the Book of Mormon. 1 Nephi chapter 1, verses 8 through 10. God sitting on his throne, verse 5. And then Jupiter, and then 12 stars. Ta-da. And so the date in the Book of Mormon is 2017 for the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, king of Judah. Not literal history, remember? So since it's over the United States of America, the 3 solar eclipses forming an A over the United States of America, 2017 to 2024. It's an American president that the Book of Mormon is talking about. That the Exodus of Moses is talking about with Pharaoh. That the Matthew author is talking about with Herod. You do not understand prophecy and revelation if you keep putting in Christianity. It will screw you up every time. And so, because it's 2017, Trump was elected in 2016, put on the throne in January 20th. And what is interesting is that anciently, Herod, Zedekiah, Pharaoh were all kings and high priests in what's called a theocracy. A little less so during the Roman period time, especially since Herod isn't a Kaiser. But nonetheless, they were using their particular time that they chose to designate the future prophecy. But you'll notice that for the Matthew author, he has Caiaphas as the high priest, and he's not Jesus. And he wants to murder Jesus. Right, Nelson? So yes, the Roman period of Matthew does correspond with our latter days of having a government and a religion separated. And so the solar eclipse on the 21st of August 2017 was the sign to all Americans that America will fall, not just that it's the latter days. Solar eclipse, anciently understood as the collapse, fall, destruction, murder, death of a kingdom. And so sure enough, I didn't drop my jaw on January 4th, 2016, after seeing the clip by Fox 13 News Utah about the solar eclipse on 21st of August 2017. I knew what it meant. That's what I'd been searching for. Trying to understand the Bible cultures and understanding of their religion in the learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. Because the church ain't telling me. And that's unacceptable to me. I want answers. Nobody's going to tell me no. And so I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. None of the presidents of the church who claim the title, who actually don't claim the title, Mormons just assume they claim the title. They've never done it. So I did it. Here I am. Judge me by my fruits. Mormons won't do it. Their Christ is here among them, and they won't judge him by their fruits, let alone judge the leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints by their lack of fruits, so that they won't be deceived. So yeah, it's a disturbing thing. I tried to get back into Handmaid's Tale, so I'm a little on edge. It's just way too disturbing. And yet, my white supremacist Christian nationalist peers in Southern California talked about doing far worse than what that scriptwriter could come up with for a dystopian future. And yet I'm already troubled and disturbed by the pilot episode again. It's been, I think, a couple of years when I first saw it and was too disturbed and I couldn't watch the rest of it. But I made sure to buy the rest of the seasons. And so now that we're entering into that danger zone time, I decided to try it again. And so I made it through to the end of the pilot episode. So we'll see if I can continue. Maybe it's just the pilot episode. The rest will be just fine. Not likely. Not likely. Women do not understand the danger they're in. Blacks don't understand the danger they're in. The southern border asylum seekers and wanting to immigrate seekers don't know the danger they're in. And apparently they're not listening to Trump through Fox News even. Nobody's bothering to pay attention. Nobody understands consequences. Because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints interpret the Book of Mormon passage in 3rd Nephi from the words of Jesus, talking about the future Zion, that the Lamanites are going to do the slave manual labor for the building of the temple. And that the Mormons of Ephraim are the supervisors. And so how is that going to happen, Mormons? If Trump gets into office on the 20th, he's going to go right back to doing exactly what he did before and gave America grief over. It was a nightmare what he caused. And this time, nobody's going to stop him and get in his way. They'll be shot and murdered. Anybody in Congress who thinks they're going to speak out, dead. Anybody who thinks they're going to sue Trump, dead. The deep state Dem press doesn't seem to understand this. You got Democrats in the states, the attorney generals and the governors, who are saying, we're ready, we're going to sue. You're going to die, you're going to be nuked. SEAL Team 6 will be activated. You're not listening to Trump. You're not seeing what he's doing. You're not seeing what SCOTUS let him get away with. You don't know my childhood peers and what they wanted to do to all people. LGBTQIAPL+. Haven't you been scared straight yet? You will be, or at least you'll pretend to be straight so that you don't get murdered. You are all set up. And the Book of Mormon warned you of this. And Mormons don't believe it. And so, there's the religion that is evil, and the government that is evil. The government is purposely going to destroy the United States of America. We are told that it is the secret combination of the religion that is in charge of that destruction. Right, Oaks, who got leaked with the confession. Thank you, Sister Jessica, for leaking your mission president's mission letter to the parents and stake presidents. Confirming what I had already established in all these 8.2K videos. I'm here in this building because I found the way to perfection. They were pissed. And the Strengthening Church Members Committee activated to destroy me. And so yes, there is a war going on. And if you are unaware of this war, you're going to be among the first casualties. And so, yeah, it's disturbing that Mormons attack every video of mine, even when I'm neutral. Like the mission president who died last night. He's from Mill Creek. And the wannabe joined in on the thumbs down. Not realizing that what they're doing is saying, we hate Mormons. We hate mission presidents. They think they're just hating me. They don't get it. You don't want to go to Zion, so stay here and die. I'll take Mormons who believe and we'll go build Zion. But we have to wait for the fall of the religion. The fall of the government is not enough because Mormons don't know me. They don't believe in me. They're not looking for me because they're waiting for Jesus in a coming day. And each week that he doesn't show, it's another in a coming day until he does come in a coming day. How many more in a coming days is Jesus going to come, Nelson? Oaks? See, now it's starting to be that they should have just said another in a coming day, in the coming days. They're playing you, and you're not getting it. They failed with their prediction, automatic false. And so there's another prediction by George Albert Smith through a Mormon who was a young boy at the time in the ward that he shared with President George Albert Smith in October 8, 1947. And so in 1989, he felt inspired to write it all out. And he adds on March 26th of that same year, David Horn also mentioned that President Smith indicated that this nuclear attack would take place on a holiday after the new president was elected, but before he took office. We'd like to thank Sister Jessica again for leaking her mission president who leaked Oaks, who said that Jesus' second coming is in 2024. And so Nelson, October conference, by saying in a coming day, meant, yep, this year, Mormons, he's coming. Where is he? We're still waiting. Christians believe it's Trump who's God's mouthpiece on earth. Like King Cyrus. Mormons don't believe that. They're waiting for somebody else to be Jesus. They have no idea who he looks like, but they'll feel it in their boobs when he comes. And it's not me. They have a bad feeling about me. And so, it is very interesting that the Book of Mormon also talks about that. We'll come back to Revelation in just a minute here. This isn't scripted. It's just me talking to you and you getting angry at the screen. Now behold, I will show unto you that they did not establish a king over the land. Yea, they did destroy upon the judgment seat, did murder the chief judge of the land. It was interesting, in the 2020 test run that Oaks claimed, a chief judge, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, died. So here in 2024, when Oaks said, this is it, this ain't a test no more, we now have Carter, who's dead. And I think Poppy Bush, when did Poppy Bush die? I gotta check. Let's hope that I'm not going to be cyber terrorized with camera freezing. George H.W. 2018. Oh, long time ago. Interesting. That first year of Nelson's reign in ministry. Okay. Interesting. Thought it was sooner than that. It's been so long of the latter days. I'm waiting for it to end. Come on, Nelson. You keep failing. When are you going to get something right? Don't you have a covenant and promise to keep for your failures? When is that going to happen? Did you do it for Monson? We're getting there. We're getting there. Oaks, got the knife ready? I mean the thumb. The government is supposed to be destroyed. We're not supposed to have a federal government. January 20th is not supposed to happen, just like George Albert Smith said. Book of Mormon is warning us. This is bad people. They tell us, and the regulations of the government were destroyed because of the secret combination of the friends and kindreds of those who murdered Joseph and Hiram. Yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. All of those in Congress voted against the passing of the financial bill. Even Mitt Romney. See, Mitt Romney quit. Is it January 3rd when he's out permanently? I'm sure he's never going back to Congress now. He's on vacation for the rest of his life. I don't know if there's a ceremonial transfer that would take place on January 3rd. I haven't paid attention previously. You know, when they call new members of the 70 or new apostles, they make the announcement first, and then they say, will you please take your positions on the stand? But that's not government. And yet, Mitt Romney, always voting contrary to Lee previously, who in the test in 2020, aka January 6, 2021, when the church wanted to murder Mitt Romney and got covered on live Capitol footage, he quit. And yet voted in harmony with all other Mormons ordered to tank the federal government. Because that's what would happen. They don't pass the federal budget, federal government shuts down. And every single Mormon voted to shut down the federal government. Boom! Right there, 3 Nephi chapter 7. George Albert Smith. But Congress did pass it. They did not extend the debt ceiling. Oops. And so, as we go into the new year, Congress is going to have to raise the debt ceiling, or it's going to get worse as more and more things don't get funded. Oops. And then comes January 20th. But will Trump take office? Every indication says no. Everybody's living in denial, though, saying, no, it won't be that bad. Trump's learned his lesson. He won't cross that line again. So, verse 3, And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, the great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. 17th of December, 2017. The 5th dark day of Hanukkah, which is tomorrow. And so, the United States installs the president who would destroy it in 2017. And then comes verse 4. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. January 2nd, 10:01 p.m., 2018. And the death of Thomas Spencer Monson. The religion. There's a transfer of authority for the religion. Just as there was a transfer of authority of the President of the United States earlier the previous year. And so you need to understand that there are civil calendars and religious calendars for the Jews. They use the same month naming. It's just that the New Year's start in the different months. The religious calendar starts in Nisan. The civil calendar starts in social memory. Tishri. Oh my God, I knew that answer. And so, you go back into 2016 for Tishri, that then led into the election that then put Trump on the throne. But then in 2017, you then start the religious calendar in Nisan. And so near the end of it, before the next year of the religious calendar, you have the transfer of authority of the religious leaders. This is all the beginning of the first year. And this is where it gets wild. See, 2024, sure enough, Trump's back in with the new civil calendar year. But this time, in 2024, the religion New Year was right after, the day after, the big event that all people around the whole world saw together. My sign in the heavens. X marks the spots to finish off the letter A of the 3rd day of darkness. And so if you've been hearing me lately complaining about an extended 3 months, that's what I'm referring to. The religious calendar year is not over yet, but is coming very soon. So what is also needing to be paid very close attention to is that again, January 2nd is coming. Tomorrow is the 5th dark day of Hanukkah. Verse 3, then verse 4 of 2017-2018. This year, they're combined together as if they're one verse. It's too bad we don't have anybody who's ever... Wait, there's a footnote. It says Joseph Smith translation, Revelation 12, 1-17, parentheses, appendix. Note the changed sequence of verses in the JST. Okay. Ta-da! Verse 3 and 4 get combined together as 4, rather than 3 becomes 4 and 4 becomes 5, as 5 gets moved to verse 3. Just like Isaiah said, just like the Book of Mormon said, for 23rd September 2017. But now they've combined 3 and 4 together, the 5th dark day of Hanukkah and quadranted meteor showers on the very last day of Hanukkah. Pay very close attention, because it's going to be real cool, so cool that I'll probably end up crying. There are a few things that make a guy cry in his life. One is when his team wins the Super Bowl. Or the World Series. Maybe his marriage. Maybe for the birth of his child. Pay very close attention, because last night, before I went to bed, as the computer got shut off so that I wouldn't stay up late to do research, where are you? Got too many papers going. Got too many projects for the extension now. Dear God. And I don't have a helpmeet to help me. She's got to be female. So, Trump is said to not take office on January 20th. That's the government. What about the religion? There is supposed to be a transfer to me. Even Nelson has confessed that he's going to give it all to me. He just calls me Jesus instead. I'm sure it was just a typo. He wouldn't be conning Mormons to justify getting more. Wait, Apple is now going to hit $4 trillion? The church being the major stockholder? How much more money are you saving for me, Nelson? We kind of want to get to Zion now. What are you holding out for? Nonetheless, Nelson, if he dies, so that all Mormons go, oh crap, because I'm sure there's got to be some Mormon other than me who's going to make the connection. Monson died? Nelson, same day? They're not going to get this from Revelation, though. That's just me. But if, that would just be so awesome. The curse of Joseph Smith remains intact. Because otherwise, he'd have to wait until the solar eclipse in March with the lunar eclipse on Purim. But that's where I think we got some other stuff going on. Because Oaks would immediately take over. And so still there would not be the transfer of authority to me, just like with the government. Trump won. He didn't give the government to me. I don't even want it. That's what Mormons don't get, is that Joseph Smith never talked about ruling the world. He talked about building a city for Mormons to dwell on. Just a city. And yet, Mormons are wanting the kingdom of the whole world. And they don't get a clue that it ain't Joseph's. That they're the enemy, therefore. But nonetheless, I just want Mormons to live in peace, safety, and refuge. You know, Section 45 of the Doctrine and Covenants, while the rest of the world kills themselves. It's coming, with or without Trump taking office. Because if Trump doesn't get into office, that means all hell's breaking loose in our federal government. If Trump takes office, all hell's breaking loose in our federal government. So I don't see how we can survive past January 21st. Because a whole bunch of bleep is going to hit the fan. And so Oaks, being next, would then die under the curse of Joseph Smith in March. Plus or minus a month. Nelson is the big one for the whole latter days. That's why he gets to do it on January 2nd. But he did come out with a video for Christmas where he's all spry and perky, composed a new song on the piano. Did it on Instagram, hoping that I wouldn't be able to get to it. Oh, Nelson, you never learn. Nobody denies me what I need. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting latter days, and it's sad that Mormons aren't believing this, because this really is cool. Back in 2015, with Perry Packer Scott all dying, Mormons were freaking out. So much so that Monson had to come out and say, nothing to see here, move along, keep paying your tithing. These isn't the latter days. It was, Monson, it was. And God smote you down for that leading Mormons astray thing. Notice that all of the moons were eclipsed on Jewish holy days of an Exodus, Passover and Tabernacles. So yes, he set Mormons up for failure. Jack Daybell, he's not fooled. It's just going to be sad, though, that his carrying out of his sentence of capital punishment is not going to be scheduled for decades down the road. And so there's still a chance he could break free from prison. It's going to be very disturbing. We're going to have to make sure he stays far away from Zion. But yeah, this is extremely dangerous times here. It's in Idaho, so it's not federal. Yeah, so he didn't get his sentence commuted. Biden, what the hell are you doing? Biden? Biden! Just retire. Just let Harris take over. I'm sure Trump won't mind. was most likely just a commuting so that it's a lifetime in prison rather than being set free, time served. But nonetheless, I'm not sure. I think there was a Utah woman who got freed on that, and she was actually freed. So that's interesting. I didn't get to go too much into that. There was so much news that were going on at that time. Nonetheless. And so, yeah, I'm very curious about all of this because of the 9/11 dream I had this year, in which Irene was the one who wanted to transfer authority to me by laying his hands on my head, and I didn't want him anywhere near me. Get away from me! Go away! Don't touch me! And then the number 15 popped up twice in my mind. And so I was having difficulty figuring that out, because at first I thought, oh, okay, Passover and Tabernacles for the Jews and the Jewish calendar is both on the 15th, but then the Tabernacles came and went, nothing. And then I would then find out, oh, yeah, those Samaritans had the Tabernacles all of their own, also starting on the next month on the 15th. So I thought it was the two Tabernacles. Nope, came and went. January has the 15th of January, which is the same 15th of Tevet in the Hebrew calendar. That's still coming up. Maybe Holland will be the one to die on that day. But that will just put another person, which would be Irene, actually. So yeah, it would be Uchtdorf. Yeah, I think it's Uchtdorf would then be the acting quorum of the 12th president if Holland were to die, since Irene is in the first presidency. And so, yeah, it would still technically be Oakes, but if Oakes then dies for the March eclipses as the president, to follow the curse of Joseph Smith, then you'd have Irene being the acting president as the, but yeah, he would actually be pole position to the president of the church at that time, and thus the transfer of authority to me. And with the fall of the federal government, all hell's going to break loose in America. Everybody's going to do their own thing in survival of the fittest until Coriantumr and Shiz duke it out and chop off each other's heads at the same time, and they both lift up their bodies and then collapse in their gore. They're just those things that only Mormons know about. Those who are lazy learners and lax disciples are going, what? Oh, that's so graphically gross. The Book of Mormon almost got banned in Utah for that, and that's why they let the Bible go. It's just a nightmare. I just can't believe they would do that. Seriously? You're going to go there, are you? You're going to claim the Bible needs to be banned in Utah's public school systems and not think that somebody might point out the Book of Mormon too in retaliation? Dear God. See, book banning just doesn't work with Mormons. They're federal, Confederate, neo-Nazi, KKK, Illuminati, Scottish Rites Brethren. Just don't understand. not at all. Oh yeah, something to pay attention to. Because it's in the coming days. It's not years down the road. And so yeah, if Nelson doesn't die, then I'm gonna have to go to figure out, okay, well, what's next? I don't know. Have to be March for the lunar eclipses, and that would just be stupid, because Mormons still won't know. And that's the main concern that I have, is YouTube's doing their job, getting rewarded financially by the church for shutting me down. But yeah, the transfer has to be blatantly bold enough, obvious. And so yes, Nelson dying, I'm going to get a whole bunch of views. And in fact, so many views that people are going to go, what the hell, he predicted this? And so yes, then all of a sudden everybody will burst through the wall of YouTube against me and find out that I've been telling you this all this time. So, but yeah, this is a very interesting situation. At first it started with the civil calendar for the government, and now it's ending with the religious calendar for the religion. But the fall has to come first of the whole church, not just Nelson dying. And then that transfer of authority, so that I can then take you in the Exodus to get you to Zion, so that we can live in peace, safety, and refuge. And so yes, it's a good thing that the church is hoarding all this money just for me, so that I can get you to Zion. And there's a whole bunch of people in Utah, especially, that are not gonna be found in the book of the law to go to Zion. See, the bishops, when I put out the call, when the fall and the transfer happens, then I put out the call, then I put out the call. The bishops will obtain the list of those who want to go to Zion, and they will send that to me. And then I get to review it and go, I know what that person did to me. I know what you did. I don't forget. And so those of you who have purposely tried to hurt me, don't even think you're going to sneak on. You will be exposed. I will deny you. Shurtleff, Cox, Herbert, Huntsman Jr., others, Dad, Todd, the rest of you. You guys don't go to Zion because you made your choice. And so, if you think you made a mistake, there's what's called restitution, incorrectly called repentance. It's not a second physical pain. You have to change your whole thinking processes, or turn your direction, whether it's Greek or Hebrew. And so to show the fruits of a changed mind means you have to restore the damage you caused. And there are just too many of you who did so severe of a damage that there's no way you can make restitution to go to Zion. You're out. But for those of you who, put a thumbs down on every single video, you still have time to repent. Doing videos of flogging yourself. No. You would have to actually do a video confessing that I am the Christ, something like that, and that you were the one who put the thumbs down and you're sorry, and you went back through every single one and put a thumbs up instead. But yeah, seriously, to show that you actually have changed, you have to make those changes in your life, regardless of what kind of damage you caused to another person. If you stole from somebody, you don't just give it back. You've already depreciated the product, so you have to then fourfold is what Joseph Smith requires. I can't remember if that's the same as the law of Moses, but yeah, you've got to give above and beyond what you stole. And so when it's adultery with a guy's wife, oops, you can't restore that. You can't take back the baby. Murder, yeah, you can't take back a dead body. But the financial damage, yeah, it's many hundreds of thousands of dollars that's owed me for all of you who did this to me. Good luck paying it back. Only the church can do that with the full transfer to me. But because they also tried to murder me, that's where they can't pay that back. So thus, every single church leader, especially those of you on the Strengthening Church Members Committee, don't get to go. Verse 11 in Doctrine and Covenants 85. You were warned, you knew what you shouldn't have done, and you did it, and now you're out. But you still have time to wait. So yes, those in the church Strengthening Church Members Committee, they can come out and confess that they were ordered by the prophets to do what they did to me. Make it a public confession. Get the church in trouble. Say that you quit. You're out. That you acknowledge me as the true prophesied Christ for Mormons, who was prepared by Joseph Smith for. Hurry. Don't want to make it a deathbed repentance. That won't count. That's only a Catholic thing. For their founder, nonetheless. Oh my hell. Their founder creates Christianity. Names him Jesus. Says that his nature and character is a musion, which means not real. And still, the Catholics, or the Christians at that time, when he died, went around telling everybody that on his deathbed he confessed that Jesus is the Christ that he believes. Church is true. There was a meme of Monson with that same thing, but confessing that the church was false. I should find that. I hope I labeled it right.